Benchtop sanders, like this oscillating spindle sander, can really help speed up the process of stock removal. And we cover the three main types of benchtop sanders in the August 2019 issue of Woodworker's Journal. But in this short video, I'd like to show you 4 maintenance tips to help you get more mileage out of the abrasives that go on these machines. Now the first tip actually involves these sanding sleeves. Now I'll bet you sand 3/4 inch stock like this almost more than any other thickness, which means you're really only using a small portion of the abrasive right above the table. So what about this abrasive above the wear area that's unused or at least underused? Well, the solution is stone simple. Just flip the sleeve upside down on the drum so the top portion now becomes the new bottom. You'll get fresh abrasive next to the table again, right where you need it. And even if you don't do it enough, you probably already know that cleaning dirty abrasives like this can make them sand better and even last longer. These rubber cleaning blocks that you can get from many woodworking retailers, including Rockler, make that job easy. As you can see, these work great. But if you don't have a rubber cleaning block, here's another option that works well too, and it might be even easier to have on hand. It's an ordinary synthetic wine bottle cork. Use the cork the same way as the cleaning block. Just hold it against the abrasive with the machine running and watch the buildup disappear. Of course, be careful to keep your fingers clear. The third tip involves sanding belts. And if you're unfamiliar with belt sanders like this, you may not be aware that on some of these sanding belts, not all of them, but some of them, there's a rotational direction that you have to pay attention to. Why? Well, it has to do with this seam right here. When the belts are glued together, the seam overlaps. And you don't want the leading edge of the top of the overlap hitting your workpiece as it goes round and round. If it does that, it could break the seam and break the belt. So, look for directional arrows printed on the back side of the belt. Then load the belt so the arrows point in the direction of rotation to be sure it's installed correctly. If there are no arrows, you can load the belt either way. Now the fourth tip has to do with choosing sanding abrasives. And this is just a personal preference of mine, but I think it has a lot to do with sanding control. Now these benchtop sanders will take a lot of material off in a hurry, and these machines tend to come with really coarse abrasives. This combo sander, for instance, comes with a 60 grit disc and belt. And I think for most woodworking applications like smoothing curves, knocking off sharp corners, or cleaning up joint surfaces, this is too coarse for the job. So I tend to choose abrasives that are finer in the 100 to 120 grit range because when they're clean, they'll still take material off effectively, but they remove it a lot more slowly. And I think that gives you better control. Finer abrasives also leave smaller sanding scratches, which are easier to remove by hand sanding. So you'll have to do less work with this before the finish goes on. I hope these benchtop sander abrasive tips are helpful for you. I'm Chris Marshall with Woodworker's Journal magazine, and thanks for watching.